Hello, today I'm back with one of the products which I bought in my recent Temu art haul, and it's the Superior 25 watercolour set. You can get this set with either 18, 25, 33 or 42 colours, and I picked out the 25 set because I thought it was just the range of colours that I would use without too many similar colours. I paid £8.91 for this set. When I did my initial swatch out in my haul video, I found the paint really pigmented and easy to re-wet. I couldn't find any pigment or lightfast information on the set. If anyone knows anything, I'd really appreciate it if you let me know in the comments. The Deliberately Creative channel swatched out the 42 sets of these Superior watercolours and did a 6-week window test for lightfastness and found that only the 2 purples faded in that time frame. The reds and the pinks hadn't shifted at all. The set comes with a little watercolour brush, which has got a nice wide opening for refilling easily from the tap. The colour leaves all fold down, and you've got a sponge area on top. So obviously the pans are quite shallow. They are strips of watercolour glued into the trays. I'm going to swatch out on Canson XL watercolour paper, and I'm using the silver black velvet No. 8 brush. I'll show you the first couple of colours and how they re-wet, and then I'll speed through the rest of them. I'm swatching how I usually do, by laying down paint in the first part and then coming back in just with water. So my first impression of these paints is that they re-wet beautifully. They're mainly quite transparent and they've got a really high pigment load. There was just the C18, the C29, the C37 a little bit, and the C40, which seem to be a little bit less pigmented. I've written down the numbers, so if you've got one of the sets with more colours in, you can probably see where the additional colours would be. So CO4, CO7, for example. But I'm quite happy with this colour range. The biggest set has 42 colours in it. This is C43. but the 42 set doesn't actually have black in it. The paints didn't seem chalky at all, and the blue has the tiniest bit of granulation in it. I was given good advice, which is to let the paint palette dry out, fanned out if you can, so that the loose paint doesn't run around and make a massive mess sticking to the tray above it. So I'm just going to see how the colours mix, and then I'll do some painting. Incidentally, I'm really loving my big water tub that I also got in my Temu art haul, and the little brush drying rack at the sides. So I did a cool colour wheel and a warm colour wheel, and then just mixed a cool red with a warm blue. And I'm really impressed with how they mix. The C33, which is the kind of ultramarine equivalent, is a little bit weaker than I might have liked. But other than that, I think they're great. So I'm going to try painting now on the Academy watercolour paper, the hot press pad. The cold press pad is quite rough in texture, and the hot press still has a little bit, so I thought I'd try this one out today. I'm just going to use the new Botanical painting book by Harriet de Winton for some inspiration for flowers to paint. I'll just paint a few different flowers on one sheet. And I'm just going to use the Meeden palette, which I also got in my Temu haul, for mixing. So the first thing I noticed before I've started is that it's a little bit hard to access all the colours without moving the leaves. So this is as far as the yellow palette extends. And it's mainly this kind of ultramarine blue that's hard to get to. So I've had a little play around and I have to say I really quite like the paints. I found them easy to mix up the colours that I wanted. I was a bit heavy-handed with this rose and I'd added a little bit of brown to try and make a rusty rose. It has some not too attractive kind of dark brown granulation going on. I'm not 100% sure where it came from because the browns aren't particularly granulating, but anyway, I made that a bit muddy. I liked that the granulation in the blue came out a little bit, so I mixed the blue into these leaves and it just lends a little bit of texture. Got some nice transparency when I wanted it. And then for the palette itself, it's quite nice and easy to use. My only complaint is just how hard this last colour is to get, and it just happens to be one that I use quite a bit because it's kind of the ultramarine blue. So yeah, I'd say overall they're quite a pleasant paint set to work with. And now that my kind of colour wheels that I mixed up from the primaries have dried, you can see the granulation coming out here better from that blue C33. It's really quite nice. As for the Baohong Hot Press paper, that seemed to work really nicely, but I need to have a play with it with paints that I'm more familiar with in order to see how I really get on with it. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.